السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأصلي وأسلم على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد. أيها الأحبة, the Imam tonight, he recited verses from Surah Al-Fatir, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاء, that verily the ones who fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the most from his servants are the scholars. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says in authentic hadith, al-ulama hum warathatul anbiya, wa inna al-anbiya lam yuwarrithu dinaran wala dirhama, wa innama warrathul ilm, faman akhadahu akhadha bihadhin wafir. That the ulama, they are the inheritors of the prophets. The prophets, they did not leave for us behind any gold or silver. They left for us knowledge. And whoever takes a share of this knowledge has indeed taken a great share. Ikhwani fillah, we are continuing our lecture series regarding the scholars of Islam, the people who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevated in this world and in the hereafter. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, يَرْفَعِ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنْكُمْ وَالَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمَ darajat. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he raises the levels of the believers in this world. But the levels of the scholars, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raises it even higher. Tonight, ikhwani fillah, we are discussing one of the greats of Islamic history, one of the greatest Imams, that the majority of the Muslims, they follow his madhab in most parts of the world. Tonight, inshallah, we discuss the Imam Abu Hanifa an-Nu'man ibn Thabit, rahimahullah, rahmatan wasi'ah. This Imam, ikhwani fillah, he has a number of students. From his famous students is Abu Yusuf al-Qadi, Ya'qub ibn Ibrahim. Abu Yusuf, while he was a student under Abu Hanifa, one day his son dies. His son passes away. And the loss of a child in the lifetime of a parent is not something easy. So the son dies. So he's conflicted. What do I do? If I go attend to the janazah preparation for my son and to the funeral, I'll miss the class of Abu Hanifa. So he goes to the neighbors and tells the neighbors, my son has died. I leave him as an amana to you guys. Please wash him, shroud him, ensure the janazah is done, and you bury him. فَإِنِّي أَخَافُ أَن يَفُوتَنِي مِنْ أَبِي حَنِيفَةَ شَيْءٍ. Because I am afraid that I might lose something more beneficial from the knowledge of Imam Abu Hanifa. This man, Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam al-Dhahabi rahimahullah, says, كان من أذكى بني آدم على الإطلاق. He was the most, or one of the most intelligent children of Adam alayhi salam in his entirety. From the time Adam alayhi salam stepped on this world until the day of judgment, one of the most intelligent children of Adam alayhi salam is this man, Abu Hanifa rahimahullah. This is the man who Imam Malik, the Imam of Medina, he says, have you seen Abu Hanifa? I have seen Abu Hanifa. Abu Hanifa is a man who will tell you that this concrete pillar is made out of gold, and he'll convince you it is made out of gold until you'll believe him. He was such an excellent orator and such an excellent person when it came to debate. This is our lecture for tonight. The Imam Abu Hanifa an-Nu'man ibn Thabit, rahimahullah, rahmatan wasi'ah. This man, his full name is an-Nu'man ibn Thabit. An-Nu'man ibn Thabit ibn Murzuban. If you hear such a name, that means he was not Arab. He was more of Persian ancestry. His parents came from Kabul, that is in which country? From Afghanistan. So the grandfather came to Kufa, which used to be a new city coming up. The Muslims used to have new cities coming up, especially for jihad. So amongst the cities was the city of Kufa. This city of Kufa became the capital city after the death of Uthman radiallahu anhu, when the Khalifa became Ali ibn Abi Talib. So he took Kufa as the capital city. So this grandfather of Abu Hanifa came to Kufa, and he was a businessman selling silk. So he was a very wealthy family. And from that family, his son Thabit was born, and his grandson An-Nu'man, who was known as Abu Hanifa. This Imam was born in the year 80 of the Hijri calendar. Born in the year 80 of the Hijri calendar, and he died in the year 150 of the Hijri calendar. Hence, he lived for 70 years. Born in the year 80. The scholars have differed which year was he born, but the correct opinion or the strong opinion, he was born in the year 80 in the city of Kufa, which is in Iraq, and he died in the year 150 of the Hijri calendar. Why was he called Abu Hanifa? Did he have a daughter called Hanifa? No. The correct opinion of the scholars was that he used to be writing a lot from an inkpot, and that inkpot was known in the language of the people of Iraq as Hanifa. So he became attributed to that inkpot Hanifa, so he was known as the father of Hanifa, the inkpot. This Imam Khanifullah was born in the year 80 of the Hijri calendar, as we mentioned, to a father who was Muslim and a grandfather who had accepted Islam during the time of, perhaps the time of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu. He studied the Quran, memorized the Quran upon one of the foremost scholars of Quran, who was Asim. Asim, one of the foremost scholars of Quran, and we follow the recitation of Hafs from Asim. For benefit of Khanifullah, this madhab that this Imam came with, the Imam madhab of Abu Hanifa, became the most followed madhab of the four schools of madhabs. The four schools of fiqh, the Hanafiya became the most. You go to India, you go to Pakistan, Bangladesh, you go to many countries, even in the Middle East, you'll find many people following the madhab of Imam Abu Hanifa and Nu'man ibn Thabit. Also, you'll find that they follow also the recitation of Hafs and Asim. You go to a mosque and they read a different recitation, you will find it very strange. Even the mushaf that we have in many of our mosques is written in the qira'ah of Hafs and Asim. So he studied the Quran and memorized the Quran. Then he set out to do business. Ikhwanifillah, this man, his father, left for him a lot of wealth when the father died. And he was an excellent businessman, very smart, but he used to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a lot. He will not allow any doubt to enter his property. One time, he had some clothes, he was selling clothes, silk clothes, mostly silk and other clothes, high quality material. So one time, he tells one of his partners that this cloth has some defect. Make sure before you sell it, you tell the person who's buying that it has a defect. But this brother, Hafs ibn Abdurrahman, he forgot to tell the customer that this cloth had a defect, and he sold it. So the Imam took the entirety of the money that he was given and gives out in sadaqah, which was hundreds of silver coins. Another time, a lady comes to him and offers to sell some of her clothes that she doesn't need anymore. So she says, I'll give you these clothes for 100. He says, no, it is worth more. 200, no, it is worth more. 300, no, it is worth more. The lady gets wondered. He says, oh Imam, are you playing jokes with me? He says, no, I'll give you 500 or 600 dirham for it. He was very fearful of Allah Azza wa Jal. Khanifullah, this Imam, he studied a number of Islamic sciences, but he became most famous for fiqh. He studied under a Sheikh called Hamad ibn Abi Sulaiman in the land of Kufa. So Hamad used to say, all of you students make space for Abu Hanifa. No one sits next to me except Abu Hanifa. So he learned from this Imam until the year 120 of the Hijri calendar, where this Imam, Hamad ibn Abi Sulaiman, passed away. Question, what is the relevance of the year 120 in the life of Abu Hanifa? If we take the year he was born and the year 120, what is the relevance? He was 40 years of age. Barakallahu fikum. Many scholars, Ikhwanifillah, they never used to sit down to give lectures or teach their knowledge until they reach the age of 40 or their sheikh passes away. One of those two conditions have to be there. So you find he refused to teach until his Imam passed away and he reached the age of 40, which is the age that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used to choose prophets to send them. Even Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent when he was the age of 40. So he started doing that. Also Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, also for benefit, Imam Shafi'i was born in the year 150 of the Hijri calendar. And he died in the year 204 of the Hijri calendar. When he died the year 204, Imam Ahmad was only 40 years of age. He did not want to teach in the presence of his Imam as long as he was alive, waiting for his death and to reach the age of 40, and both happened at the same time. So you find many examples of this in Islamic history. So he studied under the Imam Hamad ibn Abi Sulaiman in Kufa. Every year, almost every year he used to perform Hajj. This Imam performed approximately 54 or 55 times the Hajj. This reminds us of the current Mufti of Saudi. He's done Hajj maybe 70 times. And he has said that he has done Hajj for scholars from Andalus, people like Imam Ibn Abdul Barr Al-Hafid al-Mundhiri, Ibn Hazm al-Andalusi, and many other scholars who were not able to perform Hajj, this Mufti of Saudi used to go to Hajj and say, Allahumma nawaytu hajjan and fulan. He says, I'm doing this Hajj or for so and so and so on. So Imam Abu Hanifa, number one, he was not for a lot of Hajj. Number two, he's amongst the few people who never used to sleep at night. كان يصلي صلاة الفجر بوضوء العشاء. He used to pray Salat al-Fajr with the wudu of Salat al-Isha. For 30 years or 40 years, he did not sleep at night. He was a person of Qiyamul Layl. وكان يختم القرآن في كل ليلة. And he used to recite in Qiyamul Layl the entire Quran in one night. He finishes the entire Quran in one night. He used to be a person, even the scholars used to say, كان حسن الليل. He used to be excellent when it comes to the night prayer. This Imam Fillah, in the month of Ramadan, he and Imam al-Shafi'i and very few of others, they used to complete the Quran in the month of Ramadan 60 times. Once during the day and once during the night. They were not only scholars having the theoretical knowledge, but also they were practicing it in their entire life. 60 times he completes the entire Quran, the Imam Abu Hanifa al-Nu'man ibn Thabit rahimahullah. This Imam also, Fillah, was known by his intelligence. Like I mentioned previously, Imam al-Dhahabi كان يقول كان من أذكى بني آدم. He used to be the most intelligent of the children of Adam alayhi salam. For example, one day a man comes to him and says, "Oh Imam, you're the most knowledgeable of fiqh, but I have an issue not quite related to fiqh. I had some wealth and I hid it somewhere, but now Allah, I've forgotten where I've kept that wealth. What do I do?" The Imam told him, "This is not a question of fiqh, but try this. I'll give you something you can try. Then you come see me tomorrow." Says at night after Isha, go home, take wudu, do your wudu very well, and start praying Qiyamul Layl. Then tomorrow morning come. In the morning, he finds this man waiting for him at Salat al-Fajr. Says, tell me, what was your story? Says, Bushrakum, glad tidings. I did not stand up for Qiyamul Layl for 15 minutes or 10 minutes, except I remembered where I hid that wealth, and I went and I retrieved it. And he said to him, لَقَدْ عَلِمْتُ أَنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ لَنْ يَتْرُكَكَ أَبَدًا إِذَا قُمْتَ اللَّيْلَ. He says, I knew that shaitan will not leave you with Qiyamul Layl. He will remind you everything from dunya so that he can block you from Qiyamul Layl. That is why I told you to go pray the Qiyamul Layl. Another incident happened in Fillah is that a lady from Persia, she was married to a man who was below her status in society. So she fell in love with another boy, and that boy loved her, and they decided to pretend that they were a married couple. But the husband of the lady was not happy with this, so he went to complain to the judge. The judge told him, bring evidence. Says, I have no evidence. And these two, the lady and the man, both are claiming that they are married. So all the scholars were, of course, leaning towards the man and the lady, not to the person who was of low status. Imam Abu Hanifa told them, show me the house that you live in. Those days, some people, they had dogs. So Imam Abu Hanifa knew some people in some areas used to keep dogs for security. So he says, let's go to that house. You who claim to be the husband of this lady, enter the house. The dog started attacking him, barking loudly. Says, you stay aside. Woman, enter the house. The dogs keep quiet. Says, you man who's been told of enter the house, the dogs keep quiet. Says this is ample evidence that this is married to this, and he ruled upon such. He was very intelligent. Rahimahullah, rahmatan wasi'ah. He took from many of the scholars, and he was a person who, from the four madhabs, if you're aware of the four madhabs of fiqh that have remained with us, the madhab of Imam Abu Hanifa and Nu'man ibn Thabit, the madhab of Imam Malik, the madhab of Imam Shafi'i, and the madhab of Imam Ahmad. Of these four Imams, the only one who is from the Tabi'een, the generation that came after the Sahaba, is Imam Abu Hanifa. Are you together? He was a Tabi'i. He had seen some of the Sahaba. He saw Anas ibn Malik. And whoever sees a Sahabi and he believes in Allah Azza wa Jal and he dies upon a state of Islam is considered a Tabi'i. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he says in authentic hadith, خَيْرُ الْقُرُونِ قَرْنِي ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ يَلُونَهُمْ ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ يَلُونَهُمْ. He says that the best generations of Islam is my generation. The generation which the Sahaba are in. Then the generation that comes after, the tabi'in, and the generation that comes thereafter, that is the generation of the atba' tabi'in. He was the only imam who was from the tabi'in. That is benefit number one about this imam. Number two, about this imam, ikhwani fillah, he had students that were excellent and had no comparison to those two students. Imam Malik had many students. He had Al-Qa'nabi, he had Yahya ibn Yahya al-Laythi, he had Abdullah ibn Wahab, Abdurrahman al-Qasim, he had many students. Imam Shafi'i, he had Rabi' and others. Imam Ahmad the same, but they did not have the likes of the students of Abu Hanifa. Hence his madhab spread a lot. He had two students, Al-Qadi Abu Yusuf, Yaqub ibn Ibrahim, and Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Shaybani. These two were so excellent, they were not considered even students of Abu Hanifa, they were considered companions of Abu Hanifa. And hence his madhab spread because of these two students. And more so his student, Abu Yusuf, who became the chief judge at the time of Harun al-Rashid. At the time of Harun al-Rashid. Also the Ottoman Empire. You've heard of the Ottoman Empire. The last Islamic state that we had, Muslims, that fell under Kemal Atatürk. For 500 years they were ruling the Muslims, or most of the lands of the Muslims. They were following the madhab of Imam Abu Hanifa. Hence the madhab spread. Also the Salajika and other Islamic dynasties were following this madhab of this great Imam. This Imam also had a unique way of teaching. He comes to a class and they discuss an issue. He says, for example, if you find yourself on a ship and the ship capsizes and your clothes get torn off and you end up with no clothes, then you reach an island. These are all hypothetical situations. It does not happen. But what if it happens? And you reach an island, like 5 brothers, 10 brothers. None of you have clothes. Do you pray salah? Of course you pray salah. The Muslims are agreed upon that. You have to pray salah. Even if you don't have clothes, you don't have tahara, you don't know the qibla is, when the salah time comes, you have to pray salah. Taib. A question comes, where will be the position of the imam if you're praying salah without clothes? Are you saying something strange? Of course you don't want a brother, the imam standing in front of you and yet he has no clothes. It will destroy your khushu'. So they used to debate such issues that might come later on. Says, for example, if a man is come and is captured by a bird and the bird flies with him and throws him somewhere else, very far, like 100 kilometers away, what does he do about his salah? He's not traveled a great distance in terms of time, but a distance is traveled. What does he do? Something hypothetical, we don't know what it means. But now in our time, we get benefit from that because of the airlines and such things that are not there. So the mother of Imam Abu Hanifa, it spread like this. This Imam Hanifillah, he never used to take anything from the leaders. And for you as a scholar, it is very good for you and for your honor to not depend on anyone. You as a Sheikh, you as a Maalim, you as an Ustad, you as a scholar, do not depend on anyone when it comes to your provision. Otherwise, they will own you, they will own your opinions. So he never used to take anything from the leaders. He never used to step foot in the palaces to ask anything. He has his business. From his business, he gets the income. Any income he gets, he cuts into half. Half sadaqah, half he spends for his family and his close colleagues. So he spends on the students of knowledge, the fuqara, the masakin. All his wealth was lillah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he will not take a single cent from the leaders. The leaders of Hanifillah, they used to insist for him to be a qadi. Why? Because this is an intelligent man. When issues of divorce comes, some issues are very difficult in divorce. For example, a man says to the wife, if you stand on that chair, you're divorced. And if you descend from that chair, you're divorced. So they go to Imam Abu Hanifa and they ask him, what do you do in such a situation? For example, if you come downstairs, you're divorced. If you don't come downstairs, you're also divorced. What do you do in such a situation? Some people are foolish when it comes to this issue of divorce. Divorce, Ikhwanifillah, has rules and regulations. The same way marriage has rules and regulations. You cannot divorce a woman just out of anger. That it will still count, but that's not the correct way of doing it. The correct way of doing it is you have to wait. Wait for her to get her periods. She gets pure. Then after that, you tell her, I give you the first divorce. You can only give her one divorce. You can't give her 3 divorces. She remains in the house. She's not allowed to pack her bags. For 3 periods, she has to stay. Then after those 3 periods and you have not reconciled, then she can go her way and you go your way. She cannot leave the house. You cannot leave the house. You're still a couple. So these are rules that that Islam has kept. So sometimes you find that 80% of the questions that we get as students of knowledge and also the fuqaha they get are related to divorce. People act very harsh or rash when it comes to the issue of divorce. I suggest, Hanifa, my suggestion when it comes to our society, last year they said that the Muslim marriage rate for the first time is lower than the divorce rate. The divorce rate has surpassed the rate of marriage in the Muslim society. My suggestion, Hanifa, will be for us, especially the young brothers, when you want to marry a lady, what do? You go look for the elders and you go with them and you involve them in taking the hand of someone's daughter. True or false? You involve them. On the day of the wedding, you want the elders also to bring their friends and their wazirs and other people to involve yourself in this happy day. Question comes, why don't you also involve the elders when you're in difficulty? Why do you, as a young man or a young lady, and this is not specific to young man and young lady, our brothers, also the qadis, they tell us some people who are married for 50, 60 years are now divorcing all of a sudden. They're divorcing, yet they're asking the sheikh, how can we stay together? I'll stay in my room over there and you'll stay in that room, but we're divorced. We can't stay with this person. Yet you still want to stay in the same house. So, Ikhwanifillah, my sincere advice, let us involve our elders. The same way you came and told us you love this girl and you want to marry her and there's no one else in the world, come convince us, you and her, why you want to break up a family. So Imam Abu Hanifa used to refuse completely, Ikhwanifillah, to be a qadi. Encouraged many times, he refuses completely. The Khalifa, we mentioned in the previous lecture, Abu Ja'far al-Mansur. He is known as the founder of the true founder of the Abbasid Empire. His brother As-Saffah, who was the Khalifa before him, was the actual founder, but he took rule for a long time and kept the pillars for the Abbasid Empire. He told Abu Hanifa, Nu'man ibn Thabit, you are the Qadi of Baghdad. We have formed a new city that's going to be the capital city of the Muslims. It's called Baghdad. We are making you the Qadi of this city of Baghdad. Go be the Qadi. The Imam Abu Hanifa says, Innani la asluh. I am not fit to be a Qadi. Abu Ja'far al-Mansur, the Khalifa, says, you are a liar. You are fit to be the Qadi. Says, oh leader, you have judged upon me that I am a liar. Hence, how can I be a judge? You have already judged upon me that I'm a liar, and if I'm a liar, then I am not fit to be a judge. No, you're going to be, Wallah, you're going to be a judge. No, I'm not going to be a judge. Wallah, you're going to be a judge. You're disrespecting me. No, I'll throw you in prison. He's thrown in prison, Imam Abu Hanifa, Nu'man ibn Thabit, rahimahullah. And he's beaten up in prison. Over 110 times he's whipped because he's refusing to respect the command of the leader of the Muslims, the Khalifa Abu Ja'far al-Mansur. And he rahimahullah, the Imam Abu Hanifa Nu'man ibn Thabit, he passes away in prison in a state of sujood. Some narrations say he passed away in a state of sujood. Some narrations say he was poisoned. He died in the year 150 of the Hijri calendar at the age of 70 years of age. For benefit also, Ikhwanifillah, out of Allah's wisdom and Allah's blessing, that sometimes He takes from us one person and He replaces someone with someone else. When this Imam passed away, Imam Abu Hanifa, that's the same year in the city of Gaza that the great Imam Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi'i rahimahullah was born. The same year that Imam Abu Hanifa dies, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replaces him with Imam al-Shafi'i. Imam al-Shafi'i says, كُلُّ النَّاسِ عِيَالٌ عَلَى أَبِي حَنِيفَ فِي الْفِقْهِ. Every person who came after Abu Hanifa is like a child who wants from Abu Hanifa all the fiqh that he has. Imam Abu Hanifa was one of the strongest scholars when it came to the knowledge of fiqh. This Imam, Ikhwanifillah, is one of the greats of Islamic history that we should all know and learn his biography. Born in the year 80 of the Hijri calendar, and he passed away in the year 150 of the Hijri calendar. He used to complete the Quran every single night. He used to fast a lot. He used to perform Hajj almost every year. Since he was the age of 16 until the age of 70, he was performing Hajj every single year. He performed Hajj 54 or 55 times. So this is our lecture series for tonight about the Imam, the great Imam, Imam Abu Hanifa. Read more upon this Imam. The scholar Imam al-Dhahabi says, if I was to write about Abu Hanifa, I will write 2 volumes about him. I'll write 2 volumes about him. This is the great Imam Abu Hanifa, the Imam of the madhab of the Hanafiya, that is the most followed madhab of the Muslims, followed by over 40 to 50% of the entire Muslim world. This is our great Imam for tonight. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.